different direction. And as players, you understand the business of basketball, but I just thought IT was one of the great Celtics for his short period of time just because of how he played and then the numbers that he put up.
Listen, tattoos sometimes are a good idea, sometimes they're a bad idea. Leprechaun, no, the Larry O'Brien on the bicep, that was a great idea. Fish, you're familiar with the rivalry between the Celtics and the Lakers, all the tradition that goes on in Boston Garden. You see this and you say?
I think from a basketball perspective, it feels quick or premature, but because of all of the jerseys that hang in the rafters in Boston Garden, those are some of the greatest players to ever play in the history of our game. But I think this is more about Isaiah Thomas, the man and the person. Mm-hmm. There have been a lot of players that have come through Boston and put up some decent numbers for a few years. But what he did during the postseason after such a tragic loss personally and still coming back and putting on that green and white uniform, I think that more so symbolized what that area and that community of people tries to represent and be about, and that he carried that for them for a couple months during that postseason run. And I think that's also one of the big reasons why they appreciate him so much.
Yes, everything very well documented. Him losing his sister and still coming back to play after having to bury someone that close to you. That was truly remarkable and a special moment for him right there playing for the Boston Celtics. Looking at the status update as we get back to basketball. Westbrook, of course, is out. No Blake Griffin, no Boogie. Kawhi Leonard is out with rest. Kevin Durant is going to play. So is Luka Doncic. Looking at the status update for notable players tonight. So Kevin Durant comes back. Number one, before we even talk about Kevin Durant, what did it tell you about Golden State? They go to Houston, get a close victory. They go and blow out OKC at home. 2 wins on the road without Kevin Durant. Jay, you see this and you say what when you're looking at the Golden State Warriors?
Tough. They're going to be tough and a problem because, again, when you talk about Boogie Cousins missing the majority of part of the season, and now he's just now getting healthy. Now we know he's out tonight, but you were able to see in that Houston Rocket game a post presence. Going and playing through Boogie in the post, we know he can facilitate, he can pass, but he was a matchup nightmare. He was punishing defenders in the post and making his presence felt. I think that's a dynamic that they hadn't had. Now, we know they acquired Bogut also. We'll see what kind of conditions he's in, but he gives them an added dynamic as well because when he was with them in 2015, he led the team in assists, and he was a facilitator out of the pinch post, which freed up those open shooters.
So you talk about Bogut, by the way. We'll see if he's in shape. He was the MVP down there in Australia, in the Australian Basketball League where he was playing. Fish, you know about leaving a team and then coming back, especially when they're in the midst of a championship run. What is Bogut going through right now, returning to the Golden State Warriors?
Well, I think his energy is really going to have to be managed and maintained. I think he's excited to have an opportunity to be back on a championship caliber team. He knows that Larry O'Brien trophy is within reach.
Yes, it is.
And that generates a certain level of energy. But Bogut is experienced. He's played a lot of basketball in his career. I think more than anything, he wants to just make sure that he fits in to this version of the Warriors group. There was no Kevin Durant when he was there previously. There was no DeMarcus Cousins. These are big personalities that he's never necessarily worked with before. So finding a way to mesh his personality, the way he plays and thinks the game with those guys. But he's more than capable of it, and I don't think he would be there if he didn't believe he could do it.
You talked about big personalities. The Spurs don't necessarily have big personalities on their team, but they're one of the hottest, if not the hottest team in the NBA right now. They have 8 straight wins, number 1 in scoring defense. The Spurs appear to be doing it, I hate to say this, with smoke and mirrors, but if you look at their roster and the way it's composed, all the injuries that they had at the beginning of the season, it's been impressive what Pop's been able to do. Right now they're sitting in the 6th spot, could possibly move up. There's a chance. Is this a team that actually could be a threat when the playoffs come around, Jet?
They're definitely a threat. Anytime you got Coach Pop, you know he's cooking up something in the kitchen. And defensively, he will scheme up things to take away your best player or your best skill set offensively and make you play to your second and third options, which is tough in playoff basketball. Also, they're a matchup nightmare. Aldridge can dominate you in the post. He can beat you up in pick and pop scenarios. DeMar DeRozan has done a phenomenal job of playing the point guard position, being a facilitator, and still being able to score the basketball. And it's a dynamic that he didn't have to do in Toronto because he had Kyle Lowry. So now you've seen him add that dimension to his game, and that makes him very dangerous. They still got guys that can shoot, Bellinelli, Patty Mills, guys that can keep you honest to draw attention away from DeMar DeRozan in his ISO situations and LaMarcus when he's posting up.
And I think, Jed, the Spurs have also finally started to figure out how are we going to play our best basketball with this group. Not necessarily high volume three-point shooting. We're not going to play with the pace of maybe the Spurs in 14, 15, 16. A little bit of a slower pace, playing through DeRozan and Aldridge, who are mid-range, two-point shooters. And really Popovich getting back to the Spurs being a top elite defensive team.
For sure.
That really was their anchor for a long time. I think they've gotten back to that point. That's what's allowed them to move up in the Western Conference standings. To me, the defense is what will allow them to be a threat. And then they have two guys in the fourth quarter. If it's close, they got bucket getters that can move the scoreboard and get the Spurs over the hump.
They definitely can do that. One of the best teams at home in the NBA right now. We'll see what they're able to do tonight as they have Golden State coming to town, who's still sitting at number 1 in the Western Conference. What's going on in the NBA right now? I want to see. Jokic, the Joker. We just facilitated. We saw how he facilitates the offense. Fish, you see him right now getting busy early.
Pop him. Definitely looks familiar. A little ISO.
6 points for Jokic. Jokic got more game time coming.
Dollar Shave Club. Dollar, and we also make fine colognes club. Dollar, and now amazing deodorant 2 club. Dollar, that's right, even toothbrushes and toothpaste club. Dollar, oh yes, luxuriate in that body wash, baby club. Dollar bath jerky club? Not yet, but good idea. Dollar Shave Club makes finding top shelf grooming products super easy because we always want you to look, feel, and smell your best. Check out the new Dollar Shave Club at the old URL, dollarshaveclub.com.
With Samuel Adams, we were always looking for the best hops. Out of 150,000 acres of hops in the world, these 16 are the best of the best. I can taste your middle fruit hops in every glass of Boston Lager.
Out
right
as
here,
well.
just in case you didn't know.
Let's go to the next demonstration. What we got?
Okay. Let's go here.
Hopefully we'll
All right,
be back.
the ball,
Kevin Durant is playing.
a lot
Luka
of times,
will play tonight.
Jokic
Horford,
from the top
Hayward,
of the floor.
we heard the
What also
update
makes
with
him
Amanda
dangerous
earlier.
is he can play below the free throw line extended as well.
Let's talk the
So
Thunder.
this time, Jokic is in the block.
Listen, we see
Kev is
Paul
looking
George
in.
has
He
been
throws it
balling
in.
out of control
Got
this
a cut
season,
there.
averaging career
If
highs.
he's
Have
open,
more
he
than
gets
that in
the
a
ball
second.
back. Jokic is
And
a
we were
great
talking
passer.
about this
Here,
earlier in the
a lot
back.
of times
We have
Jokic
to
will start
make
to
the
dribble
argument,
up.
is he going to
Again,
be first
another
team All-NBA?
DHO
So
situation.
I'll hold off on that
He
question. For
hands
now, we'll
off,
talk about the
but
team.
this time,
How
this
impressive,
guard or
number
wing
one,
is
Jed, I'll
going
start with you.
downhill.
How has Paul
He
George
now
been with the
forces
Thunder
this
this
big
season,
to make
watching
a
him take
decision.
that next step?
I have
When you
to
talk
stay
about
here
Paul
and
George,
prevent this
you're
drive
talking
to the
about
rim,
the best two-way
which now
player
opens up
in our
Jokic
league
again on the
today.
pop.
The best.
The best.
Back
He
to
and
the
Kawhi
big
are
fella.
1A, 1B,
He's a
but
32%
right now,
three-point shooter,
because
so
of games played,
enough
he's the
to
best.
be able to
And
draw the
statistically,
defense in. And if he gets you running at him, trying to get him off of the line,
There's only one other guy
he's
in our
good
league
enough to
averaging more points
to pump
than him,
fake,
and
put the
that's
ball
the
down,
big.
and now
So
again,
offensively, he
he's in
gets it
these
done.
assist-making
Defensively, he leads
situations,
the league in steals at
leading all
2.2 a
centers
game.
with 7.5
and then
assists
you talk
per
about
game.
intangibles. He
Not only
is
can
the
he share the
spearhead
ball,
of
but he
their
can also hit
defense.
game winners. We
Without
saw what he
him on
did
the
last
defensive
Thursday
end,
night against the
OKC
Dallas
is
Mavericks.
just an
Sorry,
average
Jeff, but he
defensive
got in the
team.
paint,
He
hit a
takes them
tough
over the
shot,
top
and
because he locks down
had that buzzer
positions
beater to
1
get
through
the
4
get the W.
on
In
any
fact,
given
just in
night.
case,
Paul
just a
George also
demonstration
has
right here.
return
What happened?
in the playoffs.
Again,
you need a
Jokic
bucket.
was at the top
You
of the
know
floor
you can isolate him
when
on
he
the
got that
elbow.
basketball
You can
back.
play he
A lot
and
of times
Westbrook
they'll
in
run a
pick and roll
1-5
situations.
screen roll or
Play
something
off P,
that gets him the
and
ball
you're
in the
going to
middle
get a
of the
shot.
floor.
The other thing I love
Because
about
of how
Paul
great
George
of a
is
passer
he
he
doesn't
is.
need the
He
ball
has
to be
both
dominant
sides.
on
Plenty of
offense.
space to work.
JT
He
said
allows
this a lot.
Westbrook to
You're going to see
operate
Dirk
because he
Nowitzki on
shoots
crunch
over
time later.
50%.
Yes, we will.
He catches
Middle
shoot
of the
three
floor.
situations. So
Allows
Paul
your bigs
George
that
for
are
me,
great passers
no
to be able
doubt
to see
about it.
where the defense is
First
coming.
team All
And if the
NBA.
defense is hugged up the
Ooh,
shooters,
he earned it.
guess what?
Definitely
I
did.
got
Taking a look at the
isolation
screen right now,
situation.
career highs,
Jokic puts
28
it down.
points per game. You
He
know,
gets
we touched on
Powell
all
on
the
his
numbers, had
shoulder,
his first
gets
career
into the lane.
triple-double,
I don't know
47
how he
points,
made this shot.
12 rebounds, shot
He
and
went up,
assists.
kind of moved it to the
Still
side.
playing out of his mind. Jet
got it
says
off,
first
and
team
in for the
All-NBA
win.
defense. Degree of
Do you
difficulty
agree?
was very high on that
Well,
shot right there. Of course,
I thought
the
Jet
Denver
had a
Nuggets
great question in the back
playing
about what's
in
the
Boston tonight
criteria.
when they'll face the Celtics.
Because I
Then you see
agree,
IT, who used to get buckets right there for the
but
Celtics. He
I
was
guess
getting
only
28
two
points per
guards are
game when he
going
was
to
wearing the
make it,
Celtics
so
green.
if
Now
Paul George a
finds
guard,
himself out of the
you're
rotation, but he
forward.
is being a
Good
professional
question.
about
how
it.
you
7:30
define,
p.m.
the
Eastern on League
criteria
Pass. That's
with
where
the
you'll see
position,
him.
etc. But
Let's make it
if
happen.
a guy
Game
is
time. Coming back.
arguably third in voting or in at least what we feel the MVP race,
You've been
how
craving
can he not
Wingstop's
be
flavor
one of the
for way
5
too
best
long now.
players in
It's
the
so
league?
good to be back.
So to
Back
me,
with
it's
lemon
a
and
great
pepper, get a
conversation.
buttery back.
We should have
With
a
freshly
conversation
made
about
just for you
creating some
chicken.
content for Turner Studios.
I like
have
that.
this all NBA debate on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah.
But Paul George, like Jet said, in so many ways, because of how high a level he plays on both ends, to me, that's what puts him into that real small number of guys that are all NBA guys.
Well, let's talk about this. How much more pressure does it put on him, seeing he's going to have to play without Russell Westbrook tonight, the guy who's second all-time in career triple-doubles? Is this more of a load that's going to go on Paul George's shoulders?
It is more of a load, but I think it kind of goes back to what Sam Presti and Troy Weaver did in the front office in OKC this summer, bringing in a guy like Dennis Schroeder, who, when Westbrook is out, either with injury early in the season, missed the first few games of the season, or in a situation like tonight where, unfortunately, Westbrook misses a game due to suspension, you have a guy, Dennis Schroeder, who is a starter in this league and has been willing and comfortable to make all the plays that you need to be made from that position. So it allows Paul to still, in some ways, play a similar role, but then at times when they need someone individually to put their foot on the gas, he actually is capable of doing it. And it's what's also great about the way Westbrook has been playing. He's been allowing Paul George to play this way all season.
Hey, Jet, defensively, when you hear this stat, what does it say to you? OKC is 11-0 when they hold their opponents under 100 points per game. So what does that tell you about what they're doing defensively?
Defense in this generation of basketball. Now, when Derek Fisher and I played, 100 points was the goal. You want to limit your opponents to 100 points, and you put yourself in a great position to win a game. But now it's like 106, 107. If you can get under that number, now you're talking. Now you're cooking with fish grease. And so Indiana's a team that holds them under 107 in the East, but in the Western Conference, OKC is the best basketball team defensively because they got a rim protector in Adams, they got a dog out front in Westbrook, and then they got Paul George, Mr. Lock 'em Up himself.
Team that also knows how to play under adversity. Right now, 4 comebacks when they are down by 14 or more. Look out for OKC. You will see them tonight on Crunch Time with Jared Greenberg. 9 p.m. Eastern, only on NBA TV. We're showing Isaiah Thomas plenty of love. They're showing him love right now in the Boston Garden. The tribute video, of course, his teammates, former teammates, all showing love along with the Boston faithful.